Hello and welcome back to our study of Peninei Halacha, the teachings of Rav Eliezer Melamed Shlit. We are beginning a new week studying the Laws of Sefirat Ha'Omer. And again, I want to thank everyone for listening. Also to let everyone know that we are now available on Apple Podcasts, as well as all your other favorite spots to listen to your podcasts. I'd also like to offer the possibility, if anyone would like to sponsor a day of learning for a yard site, for a birthday, for any special occasion, or just lahagdil tov lahadira, please let me know, and we'd be happy to have you sponsor, make a mention of it, l'ili nishmas, in honor of someone, whatever it may be. Again, all lahagdil tov lahadira. The next chapter, ad masai efshar lispar. Until when can one count? Misha ragal hispalel ma'ariv b'chol hashana b'sha'a mucheres. Let's say that all year round someone has the practice of davening very late. So let's just use a random time. Someone davens at a 9:30 Mariv every single night. Mutav sheyispar la'achar tefilasa hakavua. So now 9:30 is well after the time for counting Omer, the beginning time. So should one count as soon as the time kicks in, or should one wait till after davening? So the Rav writes that it's better that he should count after his normal davening time. Bipnei she'im yispar la'atzmo b'tchilas halayla, because if he's going to count for himself in the beginning of the night, it's possible that he could come to some sort of forgetfulness or mistake. And furthermore, there's also something about regularity, familiarity, but also performing the mitzvah with a tzibur. Let's say someone who is so occupied or preoccupied and cannot daven Marav until after, or at the regular time after Tetzei Kochavim, and he has intention that, you know what, I can't make the minyan, so I'm going to daven Marav b'yechidus, I'm going to daven by myself later on whenever I get to it. Mutav sheyispar Sefirat Ha'Omer miyad achar Tetzei Kochavim. Then as soon as the time for Sefira comes, so as soon as nightfall comes upon him, even though he's not going to daven Marav right now, which takes obviously significantly longer amount of time than the counting of the Sefira, so therefore, he should count Sefira right away, so that he can hurry and do the mitzvah at the beginning of the night. And there's also a fear that perhaps if he davens Marav later on his own, and he's not with a minyan, and there's not going to be an official counting, that maybe he'll forget to count. So the rule is that if you're not going to daven with the minyan, and the time for Sefira comes, and you're not sure when you're going to daven Marav later, better to just say Sefira now. Which again, nowadays comes in very handy. You get all sorts of reminders, whether it's group chats, WhatsApp, texts, emails, whatever it might be, or even reminders on the apps on your phone. Misha shachach lispar b'layla, nechleku harishonim im yochel hashlim es sfiras bayom. If someone forgot to count at night, so we have a machlokas rishonim, whether you can make up the sphere in the daytime. Now, this is going to be part of a larger question of what to do if you forget counting a night, but we're just taking this at step one. So the first machlokas is, can you count in the daytime? Here's the machlokas. Lamanu b'Torah shezman Sefirat Ha'Omer tolei b'zman Ketzir Ha'Omer. So the Torah, as we have been discussing, says that the counting of the Omer, the time for counting, depends on the bringing of the Omer. Shenemar mehachel chermesh ba'kama tachel lispor shiv'ah shavuos. Because we talk about the time from bringing the Omer, and that's when we count the 7 weeks. And we said that was the night of the 16th of Nisan. L'da'as bal halachos gedolos, a name that we're going to encounter a bit coming forward. According to this shita, ha'halacha kedei shuvah b'meseches menachos, shim lo katzar b'layla yochel liktzar b'di'evet b'yom shalom acharas. The Gemara discusses that if a person, let's say, did not have the Omer offering, did not cut it at night, you can still do it on the next day. And he says, so that if that's the case, that the Omer depends on the counting of the Omer depends on the bringing of the Omer offering, then if the Omer offering could b'di'evet be brought in the daytime, then the counting can also be done in the daytime. That if one forgot to count at night, then b'di'evet one can count in the daytime. Uladas Rabbeinu Tam, on the other hand, according to Rabbeinu Tam, halacha kedei shuva b'meseches Megillah, based on the Gemara in Megillah, shemitzvahs Ketzir Ha'Omer b'layla belvad, that the mitzvah of the Omer offering and the process of the Omer is only at night. V'lachein misha lo siper b'layla, einu yachal hashlim l'spor bayom. And therefore, if someone did not count at night, then you have lost out and you cannot count in the daytime any longer. Lamaisa nifsek lahalacha. So what's the practical application? What is our practice? Shahashochech lispar b'layla yispar b'yom b'lo bracha. This is probably, I'm sure most of you are familiar with, that if you forgot to count at night, and it's on the one hand an awful feeling, I forgot to count, but on the other hand, at least we know that we have a save that's possible, and therefore you can count in the daytime, and you can count without a bracha, and as we'll see next time, God willing, you'll still sort of be in the mix, as it were. On the one hand, we want to take into account the opinion that says that you can count in the daytime if you did not count at night. But however, so we don't possibly enter into a situation where you're making a bracha levatala, therefore we don't make a bracha when you count in the daytime. And this will keep us in the mix, as I've mentioned. So in other words, if a person forgot to count at the nighttime, then we will take what we call in halacha and psak the least antagonistic approach. Meaning, if one opinion says I can count in the day and one opinion says I can't, so we'll say, okay, let's follow the opinion that says that you can count, but so that we want to make sure and cover all of our bases and not enter a situation of bracha levatala, so then we will say you count in the daytime, albeit without a blessing. And this way, you will still be in the mix, you'll still be in the count, and you could continue the next night with a bracha, which we'll discuss next time about what to do if a person forgets to count in the Omer. If you forget one day, what your practice should be going forward. If you forget more than one day, again, this is usually what makes the Omer exciting. It makes the whole mitzvah exciting, and that's why I always say this is one of the more complicated mitzvahs for anyone to fulfill, because it actually takes a number of days, and it takes a village, as they say. So the more reminders that you have, the best advice is to really daven with a minyan, because the minyan always says Sefirat. But if that's not possible, which you understand, practically speaking, that's not always possible, the best thing you could do is have digital reminders, which are so ubiquitous these days, and of course, trying to do other things when you can have those digital reminders, such as on Friday night or on Shabbos. So you want to make sure that we can all perform this mitzvah properly, kahalacha. So as we begin a new week, I want to wish everybody a Chodesh Tov. It's Chodesh Iyar, Ani Hashem Rofecha. We should all have a blessed month of health and good mazel with us, and we'll continue studying Torah each and every day. Again, dedications available. Please let me know. Thank you again for listening. Have a wonderful day.